Charlotte Mitchell.
How long have you lived here?
I don't know. I don't know.
We volunteer at Westminster. Is that I actually enjoy coming here and listening to their stories, and sometimes that's actually more entertaining to me is to listen to them to talk about what they did with their lives and what they studied, if they went to college, like their children, anything like that. I like to talk a lot, so they like to talk a lot too, so we literally just come here and we just spill their stories and spill their lives out to us, and I just feel like they really enjoy being here. I guess that's what I like the most.
I really enjoy spending time with the people here. Like I knew, like my mom worked here, so that's like the main reason why I wanted to come. But the residents are really great. They have really great ideas and stories, and they're not all as crazy as you would think. A lot of them are really together in the mind.
I'm sorry, can you start over? I didn't press play.
What are you doing?
It's rewarding. It's not only helping out with the other people who like live here. You're also learning yourself, and you're having fun while you're doing it. And yeah, I think it's one of the most rewarding volunteer experiences.
My name is Dolly Keaton. I come originally from New Jersey. Went to school at Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts. Lived in many of the states east of the Mississippi. And I am now living in Springfield. I'm in Virginia for the rest of my life. I think I'll be in Virginia the rest of my life. As I get older.
We've met the Wilsons, and they're really great. We've got a couple we always talk to. Mrs. Wilson's really fun. She loves telling us about her childhood growing up in China, and her family was a missionary.
My parents were missionaries. My mother was the choir director, the organist, the piano player, and she used to rehearse the Chinese choir singing hymns in Chinese. And it was beautiful to lie in bed at night and hear the choir sing in Chinese. And my favorite memory is lying in bed one Christmas Eve, and suddenly outside a string of Chinese firecrackers went off. You know how the Chinese love firecrackers. And when the firecrackers had finished, there was Mother's choir singing Christmas hymns to him outside our bedroom window.
Mr. Wilson, he's more of the quiet, strong type. He just goes along with whatever Miss Wilson said.
And she has 3 sons.
We have 3 splendid sons.
So I guess it makes him a good husband. We met Mr. Brown. He's pretty funny. The first week, he had some good jokes, but he hasn't really been that active in our time here, but he's a really great guy. We met Miss Virginia. Miss Charlotte, she's really adorable. She loves singing and dancing to us.
I sang on key. I sang on key. It was a miracle. Wow. It was a miracle. It was so good. I'll sing one more. I could have danced all night. Could have danced all night and still have begged for more. I could have spread my wings and done 1,000 things I've never done before. I only know what made it so exciting when all at once my heart took flight. I only know when he began to dance with me. You dance, dance, dance all night.
Miss Elizabeth, she's someone we always talk to when we first come in the dining room, and she has great stories. She's kind of rough life, so it's kind of a little depressing talking to her, but it's a good experience.
Miss Wilson, she always says that she wanted daughters, and she never had them, and she tried and she tried, and we had 4 boys and never a daughter, and one day she said, "You guys are like our daughters," and I was like, "Aw."
We have several children, and I kept hoping for a girl, but they're all boys. And they live from here to Arizona. So they are scattered across the country.
Yes, people should volunteer here because the residents are great. They're great people. We get to learn great stories and hear their experiences and hear great advice from the residents.
Here was the gym full of young people starting college, and across from me was the best looking man I'd ever seen, and he was looking at me and smiling, and he said, "Hey, Brown Eyes, come over here and sit beside me." So I did.
Barbara Bush was in my class. Oh, sweet girl.
Today at Westminster, we are restocking supplies. The main job we have today are the green diapers, and so I couldn't exactly reach this standing up, neither could Chelsea. So I climbed up here, and we have to stack them by size actually, because they range from medium, which not a lot of people wear here actually, to the XXL. There seems to be a lot more of those than anything else, to be kind of honest.
Supervisor is Miss Krause, and she's funny and she's nice, and she really appreciates us being here, so we like her, and I think she likes us.
Miss Cross is our supervisor. She's so sweet. She's really great, and she gives us a freedom to talk to all the residents and everything, so I really enjoy having her as a supervisor.
The hardest part is probably, like not knowing if they remember you or not, or kind of having to like understand that they're having some difficulties, and trying to like still make them smile and laugh even though they've lost sometimes a lot of their friends and sometimes their family. It's kind of hard because you just want to make them smile, so you just have to get out of that being depressed because of their story and trying to bring them out of that.
I mean, I've definitely learned that once you get older, there are some problems that can occur. A lot of cognitive issues are really prevalent here, and that actually makes me really sad because one of my favorite residents, one day, the day after the presidential election, I was sitting and talking to her, and I was like, "Oh, so what do you think of the presidential election?" She was like, "Oh, I voted for him, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." But then Kimmy asked how her day was yesterday. And she looked at us and goes, "My day yesterday was awful. Do you know why?" And we just looked at her and we're like, "Why was your day awful?" And she goes, "I wanted to go downstairs to participate in the morning exercises, and my husband lives downstairs and I live upstairs, and I wanted to make sure that he was properly dressed before these exercises." And while sitting there listening to her, the thought like, "Oh, that's normal," was kind of going through my mind. And so then she continues and she says, "And they would not let me downstairs. The nurses forbid me from going downstairs. And that made me very mad. So I waited and waited until finally I said, I am going downstairs." And so I went downstairs. And when I came downstairs, I found that they had already started the exercises. And some young whippersnapper leading the exercises was touching my husband's genitals. And throughout this story, I actually believed her. And so I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't volunteer here anymore. And these irrational thoughts were going through my mind. And then she continues and she goes, and so you know what I did? I went to the staff room and I called up President Obama, and he was outraged by this. And that's when I knew it was a cognitive issue, because I knew that didn't happen. And so that was actually one of the saddest days here at Westminster, to learn that someone that I really enjoyed talking to, there was a problem.
Well, I would hope that we kind of brighten the resident spirits when we come down. We kind of give them something to do, and that they enjoy us coming down here and talking to them. So I just hope that helps, and you know, they're happy that we're here.
And I bless you all.